and an empire that stretched from Greece to India. But what drove this man to conquer the known world in just 10 years? Who was Alexander the Great? And what does his legacy mean today? His name echoes through history as one of the greatest military tacticians ever. Yet was Alexander simply a ruthless conqueror, or did he have a vision that could change the world forever? Born in 356 BC in the ancient kingdom of Macedon, Alexander was destined for greatness. His father, King Philip II, had already unified Greece. But Alexander, he was born with a drive that would surpass even his father's ambitions. As a child, he was taught by Aristotle, the great philosopher, shaping Alexander's mind with the knowledge of philosophy, science, and war. By the time he was 16, Alexander was already leading armies in his father's absence. But when Philip was assassinated, the world would soon see a king unlike any other. At just 20 years old, Alexander ascended the throne and immediately faced threats from every direction. Rebels in Greece, old enemies, and even within his own court. But Alexander wasn't just a king, he was a force of nature. His first challenge? The Persian Empire. Vast, powerful, and seemingly unstoppable. But Alexander was no ordinary commander. His strategy, genius, his ambition, boundless. In 334 BC, Alexander led his army across the Hellespont to Asia Minor. At the Battle of Granicus, he faced an overwhelming Persian force and won. The victory catapulted him to even greater conquests. But it was the Battle of Gaugamela in 331 BC that would cement his place in history. Outnumbered 3-1, Alexander used his brilliant tactics, feigned retreats, precise formations, and unmatched courage to shatter the mighty Persian army and defeat King Darius III. It was a moment that changed the course of history. But Alexander's conquests weren't just about power. They were about vision. He didn't just want to rule, he wanted to unite the world. In Egypt, he was hailed as a god and crowned pharaoh. He founded the city of Alexandria, a beacon of learning and culture that would last for centuries. In the lands he conquered, Alexander spread Greek ideas, built cities, and blended cultures. He encouraged the fusion of East and West, marrying Persian princesses and adopting Persian customs, believing that the future lay in unity, not division. But not all of Alexander's journey was smooth. In 326 BC, after years of relentless conquest, he reached the banks of the Indian River. His soldiers, exhausted and battle-worn, refused to march further. Alexander had pushed them to their limits, and the dream of conquering the entire world began to crumble. It was here, at the edge of his empire, that Alexander's unrelenting ambition met its match. His soldiers wanted to go home, and Alexander, the man who had conquered almost everything, had to turn back. In 323 BC, at just 32 years old, Alexander fell ill and died in the palace of Babylon. Some say it was fever, others point to poisoning, but his death, too young, left the world in shock. No one could believe it. A king who had conquered half the world was gone, his empire fragmented and soon lost. But his name, that would endure. Though Alexander's empire quickly fractured after his death, his vision of a blended world persisted. The cities he founded, the culture he spread, and the ideas he championed left an indelible mark on history. The Hellenistic age was born, one of intellectual flourishing, art, and learning. From the teachings of Aristotle to the spread of Greek art and philosophy, Alexander's influence ripples through history, shaping the very foundations of Western thought. Alexander the Great may have conquered lands, but it was his mind, his vision, and his ambition that conquered time itself. He reshaped the world, and even today, we are living in the empire he built. Not of land, but of ideas. What would you do if you could shape the world in your lifetime? Would you push the limits of ambition? Or would you, like Alexander, leave a legacy that lasts for centuries?